I'm the tortoise.
And I'm the hare.
And welcome to our book club. I'm just going back through all of our messages trying to find one thing that I sent you. It's nowhere in there. So.
Well, I think I have it in my messages, so it should be fine. It's fine. It's probably like in my pictures or something.
Yeah.
We'll find it.
I'm going just back through and it's fucking cold.
It's very fucking cold.
Indeed.
Oh, here it is.
Okay.
I found it.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. Now we'll actually start, I guess.
Yes.
Hi.
Hello.
Welcome back, guys. Thanks for listening.
Third time's the charm, right?
Yeah. And I mean, we've had a total of, I think, let me see if I can pull it up right now. We've had like 15 listeners overall.
15? That's like 5 per episode.
Yeah. That's like
Look
pretty
at us.
cool.
That is pretty cool.
Like, we did pretty good. We've been in one country, only in the United States, but 8 different cities.
8 different cities.
8 cities.
Wow.
So some people from our town and some people not.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool.
That is really cool.
Like, hey, we're doing pretty good. Mostly
like
on
it.
Spotify. Hi, Spotify
Hi,
users.
Spotify. We do love Spotify. Can I have a page?
11 people on the first episode, only 5, for shame, on the episode. Sorry, my dog is currently attacking the tortoise. With love, not
love.
actual attacking.
No.
He's adorable. But you have to ignore him, or he will just... He's gonna pout. He's gonna pout
That's
now.
alright.
Anyway.
I'm immune to a pout.
But we decided that for this episode, we're actually going to start a new little segment at the very beginning.
Because we have it.
Because we have stuff now.
Yeah.
Called fan mail.
Thanks, listeners.
Thanks, guys. And basically, this is just us reading any cool comments, any fun little tidbits that people added in from previous episodes, stuff like that. So, one thing we got from, I believe, one of the listeners that you kind of got us on here.
Yes.
Do you want to read theirs?
Sure. So we have 2 recommendations in response to episode 1 and 2.
Specifically, is it, like, one of them specifically the amnesia trope?
One of them is specifically the amnesia trope. And it is a recommendation for a very well done amnesia trope, which I believe we were talking about how it's very rarely well done. And it is going on the reading list.
For sure.
It is Piranesi?
Who knows?
Piranesi by Susanna Clark.
Okay.
So,
Apparently they do the amnesia trope pretty
and it's
well.
apparently done very well. The other one has to do with urban fantasy and a recommendation for the best urban fantasy, which is also apparently an HBO miniseries spinoff from the book as well.
Wow.
So it is The Golem and the Ginny by Helene Wecker.
Okay, Gollum and the Genie. Gotta check that one out then.
It's in the early 1900s, set in New York.
Ooh, New York, New York.
New York City.
Where I cannot do a New York accent, but that's fine, I guess. So that ends our little fan
Thanks,
mail
fans.
section. Yeah, thank you. If you have anything you'd like to share with us, any comments about the episode, any book recommendations you'd like us to shout out, let us know.
Let us know. Leave it in the comments.
Leave in the comments. Leave a review and tell us. Like,
Favorites. 5 stars.
At us, at me, I guess.
At you.
At me, at Arcane Book Nest on Instagram or Threads.
One of us is more organized than the other, and it's not me. So
I have an Instagram. It's going. I've been posting.
check it out. You can
Arcane
see
Book Nest.
book reviews firsthand. You can see some
Cool little reels that I've been posting now.
couple reels. Yes.
Learning the beauty of green screens.
Thanks, AI.
Thank you, AI. Well and truly. Next up is the Literary Gauntlet, our little game section.
Woo! Literary Gauntlet.
Woohoo!
Woo!
We have 2 new games today. I think mine. Yes, I believe the first one's mine. should have a spin-off.
All right.
So this is more posing a question. So again, if you want to share your thoughts on who you think should have a spin-off from your favorite book,
yes,
give us a shout out. Either through a review or at Instagram, again, Arcane Book Nest.
Yes.
I'm still thinking about my answer, who should have spin off.
Okay.
I think it would be cool to see Fourth Wing from Rhiannon's perspective.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Or a full, like, I know we have chapters of Xaden's perspective, but I would like to see Fourth Wing from Xaden's perspective. There's actually some really well-written fan fiction for that.
Yeah.
But I think a book by Yarros would be interesting. Either Xaden or Rhiannon, I think.
An official fan fiction, if you will.
An official one, yeah. Yeah. Or if we want to be sad, because it'd have to be like a novella.
Oh, yeah.
Or a really one standalone novel.
Yeah.
Liam's perspective.
Oh, no. Not Liam.
Poor baby.
Aww. Probably the worst character death since Chopper in Ace Combat 5.
That is...
Aww.
Okay. We've officially
ruined me.
We've now ruined the poor hare. Or you're the hare. I'm the hare. You're the tortoise.
Yeah. Apparently both. The both are ruined.
Sorry, guys. Go ahead.
All right.
So
for my spinoff, because in talking about our favorite book series, it has put me back down the rabbit hole of going back to my comfort book series of Becca Cooper, and re-listening to those audiobooks. Clary Goodwin, which if you've never read or listened to the Becca Cooper series, you have no idea.
I have no idea.
But she is the partner, because it's kind of like a high fantasy cop novel or cop series. And so Clary Goodwin is one of the partners.
Gotcha.
And it's just dropped in like little lore. You know like mom lore or dad lore? It's kind of like Goodwin lore, where she has this very interesting backstory of being like a loose cop, where she takes bribes and she doesn't actually do her job. But when you meet her, she is very strict, and she's considered one of the best cops in this place.
That's wild.
Yeah, so, and her husband is apparently this very sweet guy, and then she's scary, tiny.
Grumpy Sunshine, we love
Grumpy
it.
Sunshine. I need a Grumpy Sunshine Clara Goodwin. That's all. Because I need to know her backstory.
There you go.
I'm still waiting for it.
It will.
It's been like a decade.
It probably won't come then.
It probably won't come.
Just like that other book you've been waiting to come out for forever.
The Name of the Wind. Where's my Patrick Rothfuss fans? The Name of the Wind. When's the third one? It's literally been over a decade we've been waiting for the third book. I recommend it.
It's never coming.
Read The Name of the Wind. It will change you. It's fantastic. Patrick Rothfuss, love him. Would also love it if he finished his freaking next novel.
Okay.
Rant over. Sorry.
There you go.
Thank you.
That's okay. Good rant. Good rant. So I think that's... Oh, no. Now we have your game.
The Dirty Little Secret. And specifically, Dirty Little Secret regarding... what is this? Literary?
Yeah.
Your literary dirty little secret. What is it?
So if we're talking guilty pleasures,
That's
right?
basically what it is, I think.
So my guilty pleasure, it's more of my guilty pleasure like genre rather than book. Why choose novels? Where, or reverse harem for my anime fans out there. But like, why choose novels? I'm all for it. Like Beast of the Briar series by Elizabeth Helen. Mwah. Beautiful. Love it. It's a well-written Why Choose series too.
Yes.
But I just love it when the girl gets all the guys. Why have a love triangle when you can get both of them?
Or why have a pair when you could have a triangle?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why have two when you can have three?
More is better.
Or five. I think in the case of Beast of the Briars, I think it's like 5 or 6.
Literally, why choose?
Why would you choose? It's more fun that way.
If they're all down for it.
Yeah. Safe and consenting. That's all we need.
Yeah.
Safe, sane, consensual.
I feel that way about Lights Out. I have not felt that way about many books, but Lights Out did it for me. I was like, why choose? She could have been Christmas Tree, but here we are.
So I'm taking that Lights Out is your guilty pleasure, dark little secret, dirty little secret, or no?
It was.
Okay.
But then I had to think about it.
Okay.
Because then I started talking about it, and then it obviously can no longer be a dirty little secret if it's out if I've aired my dirty laundry, essentially, if we're gonna go on that same.
I rant about why I choose. That gets still my guilty pleasure.
Probably like, and this is going way back, but like horse girl books.
Oh, that's right. You're a horse fucker.
I'm not a horse fucker. No.
No.
Not a horse fucker.
This is not some Ruby Dixon shit, guys. I'm sorry. I just have to make the joke.
This is not bestiality. This is literally just like, if a horse is in it, I'm gonna like it.
So you know I'm definitely gonna clip this and put this on the internet, right?
That's, yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys.
It's okay. It's worth it. It is funny. So
any book with a horse in it.
Basically. Okay. If there's a horse in it. That's why I like high fantasy so much.
You know that I'm gonna find like a Ruby Dixon-esque she actually fucks a horse guy book and give it to you, right?
Oh, don't do that.
I'm gonna have to do it.
That would truly be a dirty little secret. I feel like that would be one of those things you don't tell people.
I don't care. Ruby Dixon books are fantastic.
I don't know who that is.
Basically, she writes a lot of, I've noticed, at least from the books I've read by her, she writes, like, there's a whole series where they're all fucking dragons.
Oh.
Because good on them, I guess, right? It's like a post-apocalyptic world. Dragons have taken over, and now they have, like, mates and shit.
Are
that
they
regular
still
humans.
dragon-sized?
I think there's both. I think both occurs. They have, like, a human form, and then there's a dragon.
Okay, so we're not fucking literal dragons.
I think they do at some point.
Whew. Anatomy.
Because she also wrote, like, there's, like, a bull one where she gets, like, a minotaur.
Oh.
Or the main character, I think, gets with a minotaur. I've only seen the cover. I haven't read the description on that, so I'd have to look it up later.
Please don't get me that.
Just because you said that, Tortoise, I'm gonna give it for you.
I'm just thinking I'd be traumatized.
No, it probably is a very well written book. I did enjoy her dragon series. It was fun. Okay. Some of the romance, I was like, oh my.
Oh my.
Some of the spicier scenes, I was like, oh my god.
Some of those X-rated scenes, you can just go, oh, okay, and move on.
But like, so there's plot in there that was kind of fun.
Oh, there's plot?
There's plot.
Wow.
I mean, it's a little PWP.
Okay,
but like,
that's fair. Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's, fun.
As long as it's fun.
It's fun.
And well written.
Yeah.
Those are like 2 of 3 requirements.
Yeah. Though, this is completely off tangent and partially related. And I'm going to say this and then we can move on to the main segment.
Okay.
But like, Kindle Unlimited had like all of Ruby Dixon's books. And because I was like looking through Kindle Unlimited just to see what I wanted to read, pro tip for anyone who hears this, Iron Flame and Fourth Wing are currently both on Kindle Unlimited, and I'm guessing that they're only going to be there until the release of Onyx Storm.
That is a hot tip.
Like, so.
Kindle Unlimited, get your Iron Flame and Fourth Wing.
Before the release of Onyx Storm, gotta get your prepping.
Suffer with the rest of us.
Yep. Come on, guys. But, yeah.
Well, there you go. There's the dirty little secrets. They're out. It's not a Ruby Dixon dirty little secret. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Well, it's not a dirty little secret. Her books are generally like have a good fan base and they're good.
Okay.
That's why she's now traditionally published.
Oh. Good for her.
I think she's traditional publishing.
Good on you, sure. Ruby.
But hey.
Okay.
So.
Now you know.
Now you know, guys. That leads us into book bites.
The hair's gonna tell us a story.
I guess I'm telling a story today, y'all.
Because I'm not reading them.
So for this one, we decided to do something a little bit different.
Yes.
And every now and then we're going to do this as well. Or like every other one or something like that. We don't know if it's going to be a regular or back and forth or whatever the hell is going to happen.
Yeah.
But I wanted to take a chance to highlight not necessarily indie authors. I don't know if they'd fall into that category. but some authors that aren't necessarily in the mainstream, you might not necessarily find at like your Books A Million or Barnes and Noble.
Okay.
Authors like that just should be out there a little bit more.
Yeah.
Deserve some, recognition. So, because I'm doing the getting through my TBR list in alphabetical order by author,
which you can find on her Instagram and website.
Arcane Book Nest, y'all.
Check it out.
Links everywhere. But, so the first author I started reading, second author technically, is Amanda Aggie.
Okay.
And I found her at a book convention, Romanacy Con 2024. I happened across her books by accident.
Oh.
She was there and she had some extra books. And I got her full trilogy called Dark Hallows or Halos. I'm not quite sure. Hallows, probably. Yeah. Because she basically, when I asked her to describe it, she said it was a Alice in Wonderland retelling.
I love Alice in Wonderland.
So do I. And I love finding a good one. So when I heard that, and she said that, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to get all three. So I got all three. Because might as well, and support an author directly. Yeah. I had cash, so I gave it to her, and we called it a day.
There you go.
Started reading it.
And you do love a full series.
I do love a good full series. Completed series are my...
Go-to? Your go-to?
My go-to, pretty much, yeah. They're like... They'll grip me and never let go. Because even if I'm not a huge fan of a series, I will power through it just because I have a series. Because
you have to finish it. You need to know what happens.
I need to know what happens. I need to know if it gets better, if it gets worse, if it stays the same. Like, what happens? I gotta know.
Let us know. Tell us. What is this Dark Hallows?
So, basically, the first book's summary does a pretty good job of summarizing, like, not the main storyline, but giving you a gist of what's going on overall for the main storyline. So I'm just going to kind of read this from Goodreads. So the first book in the Dark Hollow series is called The Demon Prince, which, by the way, is now getting a special cover getting printed. I just saw that online today when I was scrolling through Instagram.
We love special art.
So they're getting a new cover, a hardback, I think.
Nice.
It's pretty cool looking.
Yeah.
So
check it out.
Yeah.
Amanda Aggie.
There you go. Amanda Aggie. So the first book is called The Demon Prince. And I'm just going to go ahead and read the book description. Goodreads. We love it. For years, I've had dreams about taking... Oh, God. We're already starting off bad, y'all. For years, I've had dreams about talking to the devil. They're not nightmares. In fact, they're far from it. But they're not normal either. Honestly, I'm not even sure what about my life is. I'm a witch that sucks at casting magic. My hair has a mind of its own. I've scared the crap out of my roommate countless times by floating while I sleep. Oh, and let's not forget the icing on the cake. My eyes turn completely black when I get pissed off, though I've gotten much better about controlling it. And yet, I wonder why I'm single. Go figure. As it turns out, guys don't dig that last part. I'm pretty sure if you looked up the definition of chaos, it would be Alice Whittaker's life. Growing up, I always thought my namesake would prove true, and I'd get a fairy tale of my own. After all, I've lived in a world where magic existed, so why not hope? But instead of a rabbit, what came to whisk me away was a beast with green eyes. And instead of taking me to Wonderland, it kidnapped me and brought me to hell. What's worse is I'm supposed to marry its prince. So all aboard the Hot Mess Express, ladies and gents, because I've got no idea how I'm going to get out of this one. And what's scarier is I don't know if I want to. This is a dark fantasy romance that features tropes such as enemies to lovers, forced/arranged marriage, royalty, and is intended for audiences 18 plus years of age. That's what this podcast is too, guys. Get out if you're under that.
If your ears are under 18 years old, go. Beef. Get.
There is mature content and steamy scenes that might not be suitable for everyone. It is told in first person, present tense, and is a dual point of view, and features characters from other books the author's written as well. So that pretty much is a good, intake of the whole.
Okay.
Of, the premise of everything. And then from there, the series continues on to, she gets kidnapped, and she's told that she has to marry the Prince of Hell, Kai, or Malachi is his full name.
Okay.
And, basically her mom made this promise, this deal with the devil, that he would protect her from heaven, because it turns out that she's half angel, half like witch.
Okay.
Basically.
Interesting.
And also like a descendant of a demon as well, because of who her grandparents are.
That's a dichotomy.
It's interesting. Like basically it's like her dad is like technically a fallen angel, I think. I think he fell in that category, if I remember right. And then her mom's a descendant of a demon. So.
Okay. So why would heaven be interested in a fallen angel?
So basically, whenever an angel had a kid with a human, they become like, I think they're called Nephilim, if I'm pronouncing that right. And they're basically extremely dangerous, and there's no way to really control them. You just have to kill them.
Okay, so like straight from biblical lore. Okay.
Yeah. And so because she's a Nephilim, her parents were like, oh shit, they're gonna kill her. Because that's basically what they tried to do to Kai.
Gotcha.
Who is also Nephilim, technically. He's half demon, half something else. Like half lesser god, I think is how they describe it.
Oh.
Because they bring in like other pantheons and just call them lesser gods and say like God, like the biblical God, right, created everything. But then there's like lesser gods, which are still deities in their own right, just not as powerful as biblical God.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Smush them all together.
Basically, it's the supernatural take.
Okay.
Have you ever seen the show Supernatural?
Oh, baby, have I seen Supernatural.
They do that too. It's the same premise.
Yeah.
Or at least idea. Which, honestly, sound thought, honestly, if you're going to try to make it all work.
If you're going to do heaven and hell, you might as well just do all of them.
Do all of them. So, like, that happens. And so, Michael, Archangel Michael, is out to kill her and Kai, apparently. Alice and Kai, apparently. So, mom wanted to protect her kid.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right?
Seems like a decent mom.
And the devil was all down for it because basically, he knew that, one, if they married each other, if Kai and Alice married each other, then power couple immediately, because literally power couple.
Right.
Like they could, and Nephilims tend to be overpowered. Okay. Essentially. And the devil's like, cool. Like, this is great. This works out for me, because my heir is now going to be extra powerful, because magic. Because magic. Because magic, and I get to control this other chick, like this other girl, right? Like, my son gets powerful, and I also get a powerful ally that adds to the power of hell, right? So the devil's all down for it.
The devil is down, not in Georgia.
Yeah.
But for power.
In Hellhold, specifically.
Hellhold.
You had an opinion on that?
I hated it.
That title? You don't like
the keep, I guess, the castle is Hellhold.
Yeah, that's like the main palace area.
Which is quite obviously a play on words for hellhole. But, I don't know. It's a little cringe.
Some of the stuff I was like, this is a little cliche. Yeah. And I think that was a thing throughout all three novels. Okay. But the first novel was pretty good overall. I will say The Dark Prince is pretty good. Because basically it's setting up this idea that heaven and hell are gonna go to war. Like, it's inevitable. Okay. Because God's, like, disappeared and left heaven to Michael, and Michael's like, let's fight. And
Michael likes this arrangement.
Exactly. And so they're like, heaven and hell are going to go to hell, or go to hell. Heaven and hell are going to go to war. So they're in, Kai and the devil and everyone else is just preparing for war with heaven. They don't know when it's going to happen. And that's the other reason Alice was picked, because they're like, okay, another ally to fight heaven. And in this whole process, we get introduced to, like, a third antagonist who I guess ended up being the antagonist for the whole series. Oh. But what didn't feel like he was supposed to be.
Just an accidental antagonist?
I have no idea. Like, I knew he was supposed to be the antagonist for, like, the first book. That made sense. Well, he's also in the background for that, too. So he's the main antagonist kind of book 2, but even then not. It's confusing. That did confuse me.
Okay. So who's actually the bad guy?
Like, who are the main antagonists? I can tell you it's probably this High King is what he's called, and he was king over, like, the realm of monsters, which is where all the lesser gods were shoved into, along with anyone else causing problems in hell.
Yeah.
And they're shoved into this, like, barrier world called the Realm of Monsters. And the High King ruled it, and he was trying to get the fuck out.
Okay.
Along with everyone else. So he's a bad guy for sure. Because Kai decides, like, hey, let's go make good with the High King of Monsters or whatever.
Is that supposed to be like a Zeus equivalent, do you think?
Apparently he's like Zeus's grandson.
Oh, okay.
Because I think he's, if I remember correctly, they say his name. I think he's supposed to be King Midas.
Oh, okay.
I think they call him Midas. So I'm pretty sure he's King Midas.
A touch of gold.
Yep. And stupidity. Oh yes, no, he was King Midas because his superpower is that if he touched somebody, he could copy their power.
Oh, that would be kind of cool. That's a good power.
Yeah, it is a good power. Like, the powers are very interesting. The magic system's interesting, for sure. Because they also speaking of the magic system, they take a distinct sort of, like, they say witches can pull magic from, like, the world around them, where, like, demons and angels and stuff have, like, an internal battery that they can pull from.
Okay.
So, like, Kai, for example, can only pull from the power he has inside of his body, and once that's drained, he doesn't have any more power. But Alice, who's half witch, half other thing, can not only pull from internally, but also from the world around her.
Okay.
Because she's also a witch.
So internal and external magic.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. So I thought that was pretty fun. I thought that was a pretty interesting concept.
Yeah.
And they never say that one's more powerful than the other. It's implied that being able to do the internal battery is stronger. But, like, Alice kind of shows that, like, no, that's not quite the case.
The power might be stronger, but you can run out of it rather than having this infinite source of energy.
Yep. So book 1 is basically just them getting together and, like, not getting married or anything like that. There's an engagement that happens. And then, of course, Kai tries to go talk with the king, and then shit goes to shit real quick. And the book kind of just ends with them escaping the realm of monsters and realizing, oh shit's bad. And not only do we have to worry about heaven now, we have to worry about this king of monsters as well.
Okay, so now they have a war on 2 fronts.
Basically. So there's that.
Okay.
Like, so the first book, because it's setting up a series as well, I ended up giving it 3 stars. Not because it was it's not a bad book by any means. I like the characters. The premise is really interesting. I just hesitated on some of the execution of it.
Of the plot or of the intention of it?
Both.
Okay.
I think is the best way to put it, because basically I just felt like I didn't quite get what I wanted out of the book, because so much of it was a character story of book 1. They're like, hey, this is Alice and Kai's, like, meeting and falling in love. And I didn't quite believe that they fell in love.
Okay.
Like, it was almost there, and then I didn't get the follow through that I wanted.
Okay.
Because basically it's like, hey, you're kidnapped, and yes, he's really hot, but she did, like, the whole, like, yeah, he's hot, but I don't want to sleep with him. Like, and yes, there's a sexual tension, but fuck that.
Yeah.
But then they ended up sleeping together, and
with no explanation.
With no real explanation other than let's get it out of our system, and then suddenly, because they slept together, it felt like because they slept together, suddenly they're in love with each other.
What are they fighting against?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm like, guys, no.
We don't actually need a connection when physicality will solve it all.
Apparently.
Yeah.
And this is my problem with a lot of books. This is not just like a this book problem. Yeah. It's my problem with romantasy in general. Honestly, this whole, like, hey, you're sexually attracted to somebody, which is fine. And that can be a fully great reason why someone's relationship starts, because you have a sexual attraction, so you decide to sleep together, and then you decide to get to know each other.
Yeah.
You're like, we have this, like, physical thing going. Might as well figure out, see if we're good mentally, if that's what we want to do.
Right.
but it never reads like that.
Okay.
It always, every time I've read it, there's never this like sense that they're actually getting to know each other. Ever.
It kind of falls into the background rather, because they're so focused on the plot rather than it being brought forward where people can actually read it.
Exactly.
Because a lot of the getting to know somebody is boring.
Yeah.
Quite honestly.
Yeah.
So it's boring to read. It would be boring to experience. It would kind of be like, okay, when's the story going to continue?
Yeah, basically. So like, if I had to summarize how I felt about book 1, it's that it has a really good, engaging premise. Because the Alice in Wonderland kind of twist is interesting.
Yeah.
I do find Alice fairly relatable.
Okay.
Because she is like that sassy protagonist, but she feels, again, a little bit like a person. At least she starts off with that, and then she kind of falls flat, if I'm being honest.
Okay. The promise is there.
Yes. But then the pacing ends up going off. Like, it starts with this great premise, great character, like, these bases for all of them, which is great. But then the pacing gets weird, or it goes too fast almost. It almost feels like the world building gets a little underdeveloped because they're so focused on showing Alice and Kai getting to know each other, even though they're not really getting to know each other. It's more of like world building dumping on Alice.
Okay.
Under the disguise of them getting to know each other. I'm like,
yeah.
Is it though? I do like the hellish setting. I like the setting of hell. It is really interesting. Magic system, like I said, really cool. Kai, super cool, actually.
Okay.
I did really like Kai as a character. But even then, he also fell a little bit short.
Yeah.
Because it focused way too much on their physical attraction for me to, again, care.
There's more to a relationship, because y'all are going to get ugly at one point in your lives. And you've got to still like the person, even after you get ugly.
Exactly. Though, on a very, to end this part on a more positive note, at least on the Demon Prince on a more positive note, the writing style, very good. The writing itself is very good. Okay. I did enjoy it. I enjoyed the prose. I enjoyed, the dialogue was always really fun. There's basically back and forth banter between everyone in a way that felt like everyone was real.
Yeah. Do you think that it needed to maybe, and I'm looking at the physical book, do you think it needed to maybe be a longer book?
I feel like every single book could have been longer.
Without it having the feel of just filler?
Yes.
Like there would have been an intention for it to be longer.
Yes. I do think that every single book could have been much longer.
Because they don't look like very large books.
No, they're only they're all less than 400 pages.
Okay.
All of them are less than 400 pages. I feel like book 1 would have been a lot more interesting if it was still that world building, them getting to know each other, even some of the boring stuff, like bits and pieces, like a paragraph or like a page of dialogue that's like her being like, well, yeah, I was a biochem major, which she's supposed to be a biochem major, but that gets dropped and dead and never used again.
We forgot.
But if it was just like, yeah, I was a biochem major and this shit, and yeah, college was rough, but hey, I'm fucking here, bitch. Let's go.
Yeah. That prepared me for hell.
Yeah. I went through hell up there. What do you think hell's gonna bother me? Nah. Yeah. Nah. Have you ever had to sit through a calculus class in college?
About a 4-hour Sunday theology course.
There you go. Exactly. I think there could have been some fun, witty dialogue that way that could either, hell, it could have been done with the spicy stuff.
Yeah.
Just a fun little moment of them, fucking and talking.
Yeah. Or, well, because the description on Goodreads said it was a dark romance.
Yeah.
Which...
It didn't feel dark romance.
Well, it implies then that if it is on the darker side of it all, that there's going to be some aftercare required. Yeah. And that could be where the conversations happen.
Yeah. Yeah. But honestly, the fact that that's the first time I've ever considered this a dark romance.
Really?
That's saying it. Because it didn't feel dark. It really didn't. Not compared to, like, after reading Lights Out, I'm like, Lights Out feels like a dark romance. It's not even on the darker side of things I've read. But I recognize it as a dark romance because there are aspects to it that are like,
Oh, it's definitely a dark romance.
That's questionable.
It's also, I would say, far into the dark romance genre.
I disagree. Just because I've read some darker shit. But it didn't feel like a dark romance at all.
Okay.
So, but yes, to lean into the dark romance aspect on like some BDSM shit or even.
Right.
And have them have the aftercare moment of talking.
Which is usually where my brain thinks dark romance is supposed to be.
Yeah, me too. I don't remember that ever happening.
Oh, okay.
I would remember that because I would be like,
I feel like, you'd be like, oh, dark.
Yeah. So, overall, pretty good. Sets up stuff really well. Leaves a little bit to be desired.
Yeah.
Mostly character development.
Okay.
That was my biggest problem.
I know, just from the description, like the summary there, when you said it was an Alice in Wonderland, I love the Cheshire and the White Rabbit and the caterpillar aspects of it, especially when they get personified.
Yes.
And
they're fun.
Yes, they're very fun. And so when she was like, except instead of a white rabbit, that would have been an immediate no from me.
Yeah.
So how does it tie into the Alice?
I don't think it does beyond her going to hell.
Just falling. She doesn't even get through a rabbit hole, does she? Like, how does she get to hell?
She gets dragged down by a hellhound.
Okay.
So she kind of does go down a rabbit hole.
Okay.
Not in the literal sense, but yeah, I could see that. Because
hellhole.
I believe she runs through the woods and that's when she's caught by the hellhound.
Interesting.
It's been a minute since I've read book 1. But so there is that Alice in Wonderland aspect. I do think they could have leaned into it a little bit more. With certain characters like paying homage a little bit. But I think the heaven, hell, demigod sort of themes ended up sort of covering that. Like, it ended up
moved away from Alice and became kind of like a
mixed bag.
War of the realms, I guess.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it.
Okay.
Ruskin, good start. Left some to be desired, but because it was the first book, I'm like, okay, book 2.
Yeah.
Book 2 could bring some stuff up.
And just to backtrack just a little tiny bit there.
That's fine.
Thinking back to your review too, you said in the first book, The Demon Prince, that Alice is a witch, but she doesn't have powers.
Yeah, she's kind of, so basically in order to hide her from heaven, they spellbound her.
Okay.
So they locked her powers away.
Okay, that makes more sense, because I was like, how can you be a witch and not have powers?
Yeah, so she sucked at being a witch, so she went to normal human school for most of her life.
Okay.
She started off at like a witch school, but then she basically says like, I got kicked out of that one because I was so bad.
Yeah.
So she went to normal human school, ended up going to university.
Yeah.
Biochem mage, and then was in her senior year when she gets yoinked.
I would be so mad.
I'd be so pissed.
Oh
my god. I'd be like, I worked my ass off.
Give
4
me my
years.
papers.
How dare you?
Yeah. I waited for this.
I worked my ass off. I had sleepless nights. And she was in a sorority too, so that means on top of being a biochem mage, she was also doing sorority shit too. Yeah.
And that takes up so much time.
It does. So like, this girl had to have been not only organized, but very intelligent and very motivated.
Right.
And like, I see the motivation and I see some of the cleverness, but like, it wasn't, I want it to be more in my face a little bit actually.
I mean, being smart doesn't mean that you're clever.
But like,
did she pick up on magic quickly?
Yeah, she did.
Okay, because that could be kind of, she's book smart, but not anything else smart.
Yeah, but she did pick up on fighting and stuff too.
Okay.
But there was some more things of like, I almost wanted a little bit of Sherlock Holmes a little bit in there.
Love him.
Like, not directly, because I don't think she's a genius, like Sherlock Holmes genius.
Yeah.
But I think there could have been, to emphasize her intelligence, just a couple scenes here and there of her like figuring shit out. Like, just ahead of time.
Yeah.
Like, seeing these little clues and stuff. And being like, huh. Oh. This is this.
Yeah.
Oh. like in book 2, I'll go ahead and start talking about book 2
Book
a little bit here.
Crown of Ashes.
Yeah, Crown of Ashes, which is my favorite of the 3 books. I did really like it. This one was a 4-star read for me. Okay. It was very enjoyable.
That's very high rating for her.
Yeah, I don't really give 5 stars.
She doesn't give 5 stars.
I want to give it 5 stars so bad, but I have yet to give one. Just because in the sense of fairness. Because I have a rubric, guys. I am so, like, anal about how I review things that I have a rubric.
She's got a grading scale.
I have to do it. And this, actually, the books, literally, if I had to say, I loved Crown of Ashes because of how, actually, the start of it. It started so well and carried through so well. Because, like, a problem with, like, say, ACOTAR, right, is that how the fuck is Feyre good at what she's doing and able to do all this fighting shit? And we're like, yeah, she trains with Cassian, but it's like maybe a month or 2 at most, if I remember correctly.
And you didn't even read the Silver Flames.
Yeah.
With Nesta becoming as good as the Illyrian warriors
in like a month.
In a training montage.
Yeah. Where in this book, actually, and I honestly, I will praise the author to high hell on this one.
Okay.
There's a time skip at the beginning of the book. There's a year time skip of basically they're like, Alice has now been training for a year with one of the best warriors in hell, and she's learning how to control her magic, because she come on spellbound at the end of book 1.
Okay.
And she's just been training nonstop for a year.
Yeah.
With one of the best warriors. And so, like, now in book 2, when she's kind of a badass, I'm like, I believe it. Because they took some time in the beginning to show that, oh, not only has she been training with the best warrior, at a certain point at the very beginning, she ends up going to, like, Purgatory, where they have a fighting ring.
Oh, God.
Like an underground fighting ring, where these people will fight for their chance for reincarnation.
That's so interesting.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
And so, like, because Finn, the guy who was training her like best friend, who I thought she was gonna have a threesome with, because
could have been a why choose.
But
the author was a coward.
But I get it. He met a nice girl and they get along and whatever. It's fine. It's just because I'm a why choose whore. It's fine. But he's like, I can't keep training you like this because I'm not trying to pull my punches. You're my friend. And I might be unintentionally doing it, just like that unconscious bias. Right. And he's like, you need somebody who's going to try and kill you. Just because we don't, like, when you get out there, like, people are going to play dirty and they're going to try and kill you.
Yeah.
So let's get you that. And so he puts her in.
Kai would kill him if he killed her. So.
Oh boy, Kai was not happy when he found out about the training ring anyway. So he, like, that happens. He puts her in that, and that's, like, the first chapter, basically, is that knowing about the time skip and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So oddly enough, like, I believe fully, because there's some stuff I don't believe. Like, the romance, I don't believe it.
Okay.
But that's my issue with a lot of books.
Yes, it is.
Listen, I will give any author who can make me believe that a romance is real and that people truly love each other or truly care for each other, you'll get a 5-star rating from me if you manage to pull that off. Like, Lights Out actually might be giving me a 5-star because I do believe it.
It started with a mask.
And it's kind of crazy that I'm going to be giving a dark romance novel, non-fantasy, a 5-star
like
over...
a straight-up kink book.
And it's... Anyway, moving on.
Read her review coming soon.
Yeah, coming out very soon. Or no, by the time this comes out, it will be out already.
Oh, perfect.
Yes, because this will be out on the 17th of January.
Okay.
And mine should be out right before that.
So. Go to Arcane Book Nest and read about Lights Out to decide if you, too, are into masks.
Mask, handcuffs, and knives, apparently.
A little bit extra.
So, book 2 is where Alice has been training for a year, but Kai's been kind of gone, doing, like, king shit. Like, he's still prince, but, like, the devil's kind of being a bitch, and making Kai do all the hard work.
As the devil does.
Which makes sense. And so now she's, like, strict, like, cannot leave Hellhold.
Okay.
Like, Finn lets her go to Purgatory, which is already, like, Finn, you're gonna get your ass kicked, dude.
Yeah.
And so things, though, start to go to shit when a whole village is, like, massacred.
Oh.
And the biggest suspect is actually Alice's familiar, this giant-ass cat named Lurie.
Cheshire!
Yeah, a little bit. That is, you could actually, that is an homage, huh? And so and basically Lurie escaped with them from the realm of monsters at the end of book 1. And so everyone's like, we know who did it. And Alice is like, bitch, no.
I've been trapped. How could I do that?
And so everything is like really rising up, and now there's like almost like a civil war sort of tension going on in the book.
Okay.
While they're trying to figure out like who is actually killing all these people. So I love the mystery aspect of it.
Yeah.
The plot in book 2, fantastic. Very
Chef's
good.
kiss.
So definitely love the plot a lot more than book 1. It was very engaging, like straight from the beginning. And there was like a little bit more world building because we get to see a little bit more. We get to meet more people, figure out how like the politics of hell runs.
Oh.
It's pretty fun because basically like hell is almost a constitutional monarchy. Because they have like a council that has to approve stuff.
Yeah. But
the king still has the final say. But it's closer to like a constitutional monarchy.
No, that's straight up sounds like a constitutional monarchy.
So,
a la England, for those of you that may not be.
Now England is a little bit different because the king doesn't really get much of an actual say.
Forget what I just said.
But anyway, I just know way too much about politics, y'all. Like, that's where we're at.
I'm uneducated.
No, you're just uninformed. But like, the subplots were a mixed bag, I will say. So, like, that's interesting. The one thing I didn't appreciate, if I had to pick like one plot line that I was like, I could have done without this, is that Alice is now really looking into like her parents, because they're still like they're dead, but they're not, because it's heaven and hell. You can't really die unless your soul is like shred to pieces, right?
Where do they go?
They're like hiding in purgatory.
Oh,
they're like stashed away in a hidden place so that they don't get attacked and they can't bring any like real connection to Alice.
Oh.
So basically they're in hiding in order to like keep things on the down low because everyone thinks they're dead.
Oh, okay.
They're trying to keep it that way.
I don't really like that.
I don't either.
Okay.
But like my thing is like, and I get like adopted kid feelings, right? Because Alice is raised by her aunt, and I get it. Like you could want to know your parents, but it's stated very early on that like she's like, I don't care. I don't remember them. Like I vaguely do. Like I know these things, but like I was raised by my aunt and uncle. Like these are my mom and dad. Like she calls her uncle her dad.
Okay.
Like she calls him Pa.
Yeah.
And like refers to him as their dad. And like she calls her aunt her mom, just not to her face because her aunt doesn't like it because she's her mom's sister.
That would be uncomfortable.
And I get it, but like it's almost like stated very early on that like she doesn't care. Like she just doesn't.
Do you think maybe as she gets more involved into Hell's politics and understands some of the reasonings behind, she becomes not necessarily wanting to know them for mom and dad, but like to understand the people?
I can see it where she wants to know them actually as mom and dad.
Okay.
Like because she does. She wants to know them as mom and dad. Or at least, yes, as people, but not for like to get to know them as like, members of this community.
Gotcha.
Not really. But it threw me through a loop that she was trying so hard to find them.
Yeah.
That threw me through a loop. Where I was like, why'd she go from not caring at all to suddenly she really cares about finding them?
That's a big 180 without explanation.
Yeah. So that threw me, but I was like, okay, you could explain it as like adopted kid stuff.
Yeah.
So it wasn't my favorite, but it's you can suspension of disbelief. It's fine.
Okay.
Characters, Kai and Alice, they have this very interesting moment actually that does get very dark.
Okay.
Where basically like he gets mad about her going out and like doing these things while he's trying to prove that like Lurie didn't kill these people and he's trying to actually like help out, but he's not really properly communicating that to Alice. And so he puts a rune or a sigil or something like on her arm that basically traps her. In like one place, like traps her in Hellhold in this like castle.
Yeah.
And so there's a moment where she literally carves it off of her skin. Yeah, because her maid actually was rescued from that by Kai.
Okay.
Kai had rescued her maid.
Yeah.
Who had that on her skin from her dad. The maid had that from her dad. And Kai didn't understand. And the maid actually told her, like, hey, you'd have to literally skin it off yourself for it to get off you.
Oh, wow.
And she does it.
Yeah.
But Kai's like, why the fuck would you tell her to do that? What the fuck?
Yeah.
And he's like, you don't get it. And the maid, and it's a really good moment, too, where the maid's like, you don't get it.
Yeah.
Like, this rune, the thing you put on her, first of all, fuck you. Yeah. She didn't say that. She's like, respectfully, fuck you. But also, like, the rune makes you want to escape.
Oh, because you are trapped.
Yeah. So it's like this weird psychological break that almost happens or can occur. And he's like, fuck, I didn't know that. And she's like, no shit. And so he's like, that's gross.
Yeah.
But she literally, like, pins the skin with a knife to a wall or something.
That's a way to make a message, though.
Yeah. That was the darkest I think I remember that going. I was like, ooh, holy shit.
Yeah.
So, but then, of course, my dreaded trope, the soulmate trope, appeared. And this book where they're like, yeah, no, your two souls, like, Alice's soul and Kai's soul were specifically picked as soulmates.
You had no choice.
Yeah, no fucking choice.
We love an entrapment.
And I'm like, that's... Okay, there's the dark romance.
Yeah, that's true.
So that was also not fun. But I did like the new dynamic between them.
Yeah.
That, like, back and forth of, like, do I trust him? Like, I love him, but do I trust him? And, like, that kind of dynamic was very interesting.
Okay.
I did think that was
fun.
fun.
It's interesting to get a new dynamic put onto an existing description of a relationship.
For sure.
Because kind of maybe see that they actually have that connection that you were looking for in the first one.
Writing and world building, just as good as before. I enjoyed it. Dialogue's great. Again, I wish I had a little bit more world building, but honestly, at this point, I can understand the author's just like, here's the setting, you're dropped in it, have fun. Yeah. Like, listen to this girl go through it. And world building, I don't think was necessarily important to the author in these books, which is fine. Like, to each their own. If you don't want to world build, you don't want to world build. That's fine. I just personally would have liked, hell sounded interesting. I wanted to know more about hell.
But it wasn't necessary to the book.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so I really like the shift in focus from, like, romance to mystery and, like, more political intrigue. There's, again, I have such an issue with the antagonist not existing.
Yeah, not being well defined.
Yeah. Though, they did introduce probably my favorite character in this book. Because in this book, they introduced Asmodeus.
Okay.
Who is Kai's brother. And...
He's a demon.
He's a demon. Who was spellbound. It broke. And then he was shoved into the monster realm by the devil. Like, the devil shoved his own son into...
Because Asmodeus is a bad, bad man.
Not actually.
Well...
That's the fun part.
In lore.
Yeah. In lore, he is a bad, bad man. Who cares? Yeah, so really book 2 is, like, this whole political intrigue. But the end of book 2 is one of my favorite moments. Like, I loved it. I was
Laid on us. Spoilers.
So at the end of book 2, Finn gets kidnapped. The guy who's been training her, and her, like, now at this point, very good friend, is kidnapped and taken by the High King, and who is, like, because originally he wanted Kai so that he could use him to get against the devil and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Technically, he needed him to get out of the prison realm. But Finn, like, disguised himself as Kai with magic, and he got taken instead.
Oh.
And so Alice is like, we gotta go get him. And Kai is like, no. Like,
that was the whole point.
That's the whole point. Like, Finn did this knowing he would be taken and killed. Like, he did this knowingly and willingly and, like, all this stuff. And Alice is like... And, because, like, Kai's thinking like a ruler. He's thinking like a king, which is fair, right?
He is one.
He's going to become one.
Yeah.
He's still the prince, but at this point, he's very close to becoming king. But he's thinking in a way that's very rational and logical for him as a character. But Alice is like, no, like, that's my friend. I don't give a fuck about your kingdom. Like, this isn't my kingdom. This is your kingdom.
Which is a little curious, I think, from her perspective, since she is, for the last year, having been trained and set up as, like, the future queen of this realm.
But no, that's pretty been. I will say this is something probably my bad on my part. They've kind of established that like they don't care. Like nobody really likes her.
Oh, okay.
So that could probably be why
that could be part of it.
Yeah, they
no
don't like
loyalty
her.
If there is no love.
Exactly. And so she's just like, okay, fuck it. I'm gonna go. And the devil basically is like, well, you know what you need to do? You need to, and he pulls out this like little cube thing, and is like, well, you need to basically trap Kai, so that you can leave, and he won't like chase after you, do anything stupid, try to stop you.
Okay.
And you can go, like, if you just do it. But prior to this, Kai had kind of had a conversation with Alice and stuff about like challenging his dad for the throne, because if everyone agreed to, if all the people in the council and stuff agreed to having Kai take over, he could take over, but if he doesn't agree, he has to fight his dad to the death. And whoever comes out alive is king. And Alice is like, fuck, they're not going to agree because they won't. Like, they kind of established that they don't want him to be king yet. And they don't think he'd be a good king yet.
Okay. He's too young.
Yeah. Like, they don't like him quite as much yet. Like, the devil's still there, blah, blah, blah. But Alice is like, okay, so he just needs more time. Yeah. We don't really have time, so how the fuck are we going to do this? So instead, she traps all of Hellhold in the cube, everyone, including the like all the maids, all the workers, everyone. Kai is in there, and the council is in there, but she doesn't trap the devil in there. He gets trapped in like a bubble, like a prison bubble outside of it.
Interesting.
So she keeps the devil trapped in where Hellhold used to be. She traps this entire castle in this little cube that she carries with her as she's going to rescue Finn.
Oh.
That's the end of book 2.
Hell doesn't need rulers.
So it's like a day or two. It's like 3 days at most. Like it's a couple days. But so that's the end of book 2. And I was like,
what a cliffhanger.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Alice, that was so good. Because I do relate, like that's such a relatable thing of like, I'd rather save, like, she's like, I'm not a princess. I wasn't raised a princess. Even if it's been a year of me having like princess training, like you can see how 20 something years of your life, now you're in a new place, you're like, I might feel some sense of responsibility, but I don't necessarily feel that loyalty, that deep ingrained loyalty that like Kai has and that other rulers have. She's like, the people I care about and the reason I care about this kingdom are you, Kai, and Finn. That's it.
That's pretty bad.
Because like there's no reason for her.
Right,
she has no motivation to like them.
Right.
Which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, there's no sense of community that's been built.
Exactly. And so she's like, fuck you, I'm going after Finn.
Yeah.
He's like, and she's also, though, doing it also kind of for Kai to get them to accept her. Because she's like, well, if I rescue Finn, the best warrior, this like really important person, maybe they'll finally accept me.
The king needs a right hand.
Yeah. And so she was like, well, maybe they'll finally accept me. That's the other reason. Okay. A little more selfless reason that she does it.
That's a pretty smart reason, too, to go back to the idea that she's supposed to be intelligent.
So I thought that was pretty fun.
Yeah, that's a really good end to a book. I'd be like, I need the next one.
Exactly. And then I waited 2 weeks to read the next book because I just was tired and I crashed and I was ready to go.
That's fair.
So
it's a lot of book.
Yeah. So final book. Not my favorite ending.
Yes.
At all.
I remember you saying that it took you a hot second to.
It did. It took me a minute to get through it, which does not happen with me.
It does not happen.
I read book 1 in a night.
That's so fast.
Like I read book not in a day. Okay. 24 hours.
Yeah.
I read it all. 75% of book 3. Loved it. Loved 75% of it.
That's so a lot. Good. That's a majority.
Yeah, the majority of it. So basically, book 3 is her going to save Finn, and she is like going through, and she runs into Asmodeus again, who she kind of got along with in book 1 and 2, but then was like, kind of a backstabber. We're done with this. But he also is kind of helping her at the same time. He's deeply morally gray, and I love him.
Okay, we do love that
because he's playing both sides for very good reasons. So while she's trying to go get Finn, she runs into Asmodeus in book 3, and he kind of like helps her out, basically.
Nice.
But as she's going through, she's like, oh crap, we gotta go feed the High King, but shit, we're like, this war with heaven is coming. Mm-hmm. It's been coming for 2 books.
It's finally almost here, maybe.
Oh god, we're gonna get there. We're gonna talk about that. So she's on this rescue mission. That's the whole premise of the 3rd book.
Okay.
Rescue mission, deal with the king. At this point, they have to fight heaven because it's book 3 and there's no more books.
We're at the end of the trilogy.
So awesome start. I love that she's like kind of grappling with like, I feel bad about trapping everyone, but also I really want to save Finn. Like it's a fun little like some psychological stuff going on. A little bit some moral complexity, but like towards the end, like pacing hits the ground. It was fantastic, but the climax was bleh. The war with heaven does occur over the course of a chapter.
It was just a side note.
And I was so pissed about it. It should have been its own book.
Yeah. Especially if it was built up over 2 books to be this big reason for all of these different things needing to happen.
Yeah. And so, that kind of was like, bleh. And
then Michael got frustrating.
Michael got defeated. The supposed big bad got defeated in like 3 paragraphs.
Take him out.
Take him out, girl. Seeing going again back and forth between Kai's and Alice's perspectives, fun.
Okay.
They were pretty fun. I like going back through. And it's this fun dichotomy of like Alice was like, I will do anything I need to do to like protect my loved ones. And Kai is like, yes, I want to protect my loved ones, but my loved ones include this whole kingdom almost.
Right, that's fair.
To a certain extent, right? So that's really interesting. I really like that.
I think that is good to really show the difference between like a college girl and, well, especially, I'm assuming she was from America.
Yeah.
Like an individualistic American college girl and somebody who was raised from birth to be a ruler of an entire realm.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the dichotomy that was presented through the whole book.
And it's consistent with characters.
It's very consistent. Yeah. The consistency is very good in the books. Like, there's no issue of consistency. Okay. I will say, for book 3, at this point, the romance felt like it served no purpose in the book. Like, well and truly, I was like, I skipped chapters.
Okay.
And then I still knew what was going on.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I lost any information.
Right.
So that kind of sucked. That did suck.
I mean, yeah.
So that was not great. But Asmodeus stole the show in this book.
Love that guy.
Love him. And because like he's funny, he's charming to a certain extent. He cares. I say to a certain extent because he's also kind of an asshole. But
he's a demon.
Yeah, he's a demon. So amazing. But like, I love Asmodeus. He was great, and he's very clearly he's like, guys, I just want to live a quiet fucking life. Can y'all leave me alone? Yeah. And they're like, yeah, sure. And he actually does. Like, there's like a 100-year time skip at the end of the book.
Oh.
Epilogue.
Good.
Because Asmodeus has his own book.
Does he?
He does.
He deserves one.
He does. I'm very tempted to read it, but that's going to be after I get through my bookshelf.
Yes. The TBR comes first. Sorry, yes. Asmodeus.
But everything overall, I could quickly summarize my overall impressions here of book 3. Had a lot of strengths, especially like the beginning. Very consistent world building, like compared with all the other books. Engaging side characters. The side characters were really good.
Yeah.
But it did fall short of the potential. Because if this was a 500-page book, I think I would have gotten everything I wanted out of it.
Yeah. And you said she's a newer author, right?
I don't necessarily know. I'd have to look into it. I don't know how new she is. I know she's not as mainstream, though.
Okay.
Because I know she has, like, other series as well.
I was going to say, because if it was, like, a debut novel or something, that could explain some of the holes in the development of it.
Yeah. But, like, overall, like, fun and interesting ideas, lacking in execution. That's like my summary of the whole Dark Hallows series. I think.
Disappointing when it feels like it could be so good if only these 2 things,
like 2 or 3 things occurred.
Yeah.
And it's like, I want to love this book.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how many it says she has 25 books. So.
Yeah.
When I look up what she has.
Yeah. So it's just like, I want to love your books. I really want to love
And it sounds like, I mean, knowing what I know at least about your rubric that you have for her, or for your book rating, that it's actually very high up on there, even though there were the romance aspect of it, which is supposed to be a central theme of the book. You could have done without. Yeah. But everything else, it sounds like you were pretty into.
Yes. And she's built a whole little, like, universe around, like, this hellhold, realm of monsters, like, hell, heavens thing. Like, she has a little universe for it.
Yeah.
Like, there's, like, Finn has his own book. Asmodeus has his own book. Stuff like that.
That's interesting.
It is all is there.
So, kind of, she's building a whole universe.
Yes. And there's actually, like, reading orders.
Oh, we do love a suggested reading order.
So maybe, like, there's just some stuff that I could find interesting in the other books if I end up going back to them.
Yeah.
Which, again, TBR first. I have literally I have to finish friggin' half of Jennifer Armentrout's books soon, so God, help me.
It is going to be
2.5 months, I think, of Jennifer
2.5 months of Armentrout.
So God,
just the winter of Armentrout.
Basically, this winter season, Armentrout. So any questions, comments, concerns?
I think I asked them sporadically throughout. It sounds like a disappointment from the fact that it was pitched as an Alice in Wonderland book and then really fell off of it. But everything else that you were describing sounds really interesting.
Yeah.
The interaction of the three realms would be really, I think, as an author, hard to do or difficult to do well.
I think so.
And it sounds like you think she did it well.
Yeah, I definitely do think. I think the concepts were really good, and I think a lot of, like, the way characters were portrayed was really well. I don't think always the dynamics were portrayed well. Okay. I think that's a good way of putting it.
The relationships could have been built a little better.
Yes.
Okay.
I think overall, because of the year time skip, I believe that Finn and Alice are good friends.
Yes.
Did I really see that occur per se? A little bit. Yeah, there's some moments I was like, oh, I believe that they're best friends.
Yeah.
But like that, I can see, like, oddly enough, it's weird. This is weird to say. I feel like Asmodeus and Alice almost felt like they were built up to be a better couple than Kai and Alice.
Not the brother-in-law.
Well, okay, this is a spoiler for anyone who does decide to read it, but it turns out, so Kai is the younger brother of Asmodeus.
Yeah.
Okay? So Kai was made from a part of Asmodeus' soul. Okay?
It's very Athena.
Yeah, it is very Athena. And turns out that Alice's soul is Asmodeus' soulmate's soul. Because he killed her. Asmodeus accidentally killed his soulmate when he was when his spellbinding broke.
Yeah.
He accidentally killed his soulmate in, like, the rush of power that went out. And that soul was then taken by the devil and became Alice.
He took her.
And so Asmodeus, there's points where he's like, there's nothing between us. He, like, is just randomly saying, well, there's nothing between us. Don't overthink it. Like, there's nothing between da-da-da. And Alice is like, I know there's nothing between us. What the fuck?
Yeah.
And he's like, I think he's saying it for both of their benefits.
But mostly for his own.
Yeah.
Because he's reminding him
that he's not her. Because he starts calling her, like, Little Mouse. Aww. Which is what he called his...
poor Asmodeus.
That's what he called his soulmate before
now, you have to read his book.
I do have to read his book. Because apparently he gets with, like, an elf. Because at the end of book 3, there's this elven girl just pops up.
Imagine being the second choice after your partner killed his soulmate.
Oh. Accidentally killed.
Yes, but you were not the first choice very clearly.
Oh, well, the thing is, though, the reason she just appears out of nowhere after 200 fucking years is that before that, Alice purposely split her own soul.
Okay.
So that Asmodeus could get his happy ending.
So it's... the elf is part of...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is very convoluted.
It is. Again, I'm just learning that I need slow burn romances.
Yes.
I'm starting to learn my tastes, I'm guessing, by reading so many books. I like slow burn romances at this point. I need no soulmate, fated mate tropes. Unless they're well done.
Yeah.
Because I have seen fated mates done really well. And I need more plot than I need romance.
Yes, that's fair. Well, that's where the slow burn comes in.
Exactly. I need slow burn romance with plot.
So you need not a romance book.
Basically, I need more high fantasy books.
Yes, you do.
With romantic subplots.
Or just straight up fiction books.
No, because those are boring to me.
Oh.
I do need a romance.
Okay.
To keep me engaged.
Patrick Rothfuss. Name of the Wind.
No, because then I'll be waiting for book, 3, you said?
Maybe you reading it will encourage Patrick Rothfuss to just...
Oh, so you want me to use my magical witchy powers to manifest?
Please do. Yes, I need
manifest that book.
I need this book. Manifest it for me, please. Put the vibes in the air. Rothfuss, will you please finish your book?
Okay. So, we'll call that the end of Book Bites for the Dark Hollow series by Amanda Aggie. You should check it out. Honestly, it wasn't my cup of tea fully. Like, I did enjoy it. But it might be your cup of tea. It might be your next favorite book series. You should check it out. Like, check it out. Give it a shot.
She give it a shot. She gave it 4 stars, which is like the highest rating.
3, then 4, then 3.
3.5 stars, which is like the highest rating I've seen her give a book. She gave her favorite book series of 4 stars, so...
Oh, that's true. I did get Throne of Glass of 4 stars in my mind.
That's what I'm saying.
Though Air of Fire, 5 stars, baby. You can't change my mind. Air of Fire, 5 stars. Not Tower of Dawn. Tower of Dawn's a good book, though. Empire Storms, 5 stars. Every other book, 4. Book 1 might, actually, if I really had to go back and look at it might be a 3 stars.
Yeah.
1. Just because it's a little slow. But it's fun anyway. So, for this one, because when we publish this, our Whispers from the Court, our little shit-talking corner, is Fourth Wing.
Oh, Fourth Wing.
Because by the time we publish it, it's going to be the weekend before its release of Onyx Storm.
Onyx Storm, the final... Oh, it's not even the final. Never mind. The middle installment.
So, hot take about Fourth Wing. Go.
I have very little good to say about Fourth Wing. For all of that, I have listened through it twice. Just because I listened through it one time and I was like, this is awful. And then I figured, okay, well, the next one, Iron Flame or whatever it is out. I have to listen to it. Yeah. Which I also was like, this is still awful. And then you started talking about how much you liked Fourth Wing and how, like, it was obviously not a literary masterpiece, but it was very good and enjoyable. And I was like, all right, shit, I'll read it again, or I'll listen to it again. And I was reading it, or I was listening to it, and I was like, this is still awful. And I listened to the dramatized version.
Yeah, the dramatized version,
which was good primarily because Xaden's voice actor.
Xaden's voice actor can get it.
Quite honestly. He's just got one of those voices.
He just really does, though.
Okay. It is, in a lot of ways, there's cop-outs in the trope, or in the plot. I do have to give it its commendations where it's due. The plot twist at the end of Iron Flame, I was not expecting. Maybe you saw it a mile away.
Iron Flame or Fourth Wing?
Iron Flame.
Which plot twist?
I thought it was a plot twist. Maybe it was...
What point are you talking about? Spoiler.
Her mom.
Oh, that happening?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
I didn't see it coming.
I can agree with that.
And the other... The last plot twist at the end of it that sets up for...
Oh, for the setup
Onyx
of,
Storm.
like, that, the thing that happens. Oh, okay, yes.
That one I was not expecting.
I wasn't expecting either. But honestly...
But I also kind of hate it.
I love it because of the almost, like, political influence and implications that it has. There's, like, there are some really strong political... there's some political stuff that can like consequences because of what happened.
I hope you get it
So if I don't get that in Onyx Storm, guys, I will commandeer a podcast episode to rant about Onyx Storm.
Please do. Basically, it's just
What's your hottest of hot takes? Let's get to the nitty gritty. Hottest of hot takes.
Hottest of hot takes. If Violet talks or makes one more comment, a singular side note comment of how she does not or cannot trust Xaden because of X, Y, or Z, that's it. It's done.
You're done.
That's my DNF. Is if because throughout all of the books she talks about how first book is, oh, he's so hot, I love him, he's so attractive, but I can't because enemy and he killed my dad or whatever. But then oops, I fucked him kind of situation is how that ended up being.
He killed he thought that that Xaden's dad killed her brother.
Okay, there we go.
I believe that's the whole issue.
Yes, Xaden's dad killed her brother, and she's like,
even though he didn't.
Public enemy number one, but that's what she believed at the time. Yeah. So I can't trust him, but I love him, but I can't trust him. And then book 2 was literally the same continuation of, I love him, and we are stated relationship, but I can't trust him because he doesn't tell me every single thing, even though it turns out there's a reason for it. And I'm also well known to, and stated from her own mouth, from her own lips came the words, or I guess it would be whatever. I can't keep a secret. You can't see it, but I'm making hand gestures of just like, what?
She is very much so articulating with her hands at this point.
Like, you can't keep a secret, but you are expecting, and I guess this is a spoiler, skip the next 30 seconds. You're expecting him to tell you all of these secrets of the state and of this secret rebellion that is going to kill thousands of people if he tells you, and you, through either your relationship with Dane or anything else, you can't keep your mouth shut. But you're going to be mad at him and be a pissy little bitch about it. Because she is.
That's fair. That is literally the plot line of Iron Flame, so...
And it's beyond miscommunication. Like, it's
like willful miscommunication.
And he's also in the wrong for it too, where he plays the games with, well, if you ask me the question, I'll tell you.
Yeah, that's some toxic bullshit right there.
That is toxic, yes. Like, so their whole dynamic is just toxic. I don't see a whole lot of support.
Mm-hmm. You know what this book should have been marketed as and then written as? A dark romance.
It's not even dark romance.
No, it should have been.
I don't feel like it's dark romance.
No, but it could have been such a good dark romance, though.
It could have been.
Think about it. Him manipulating her to his side for his own personal gain.
It could
and playing games on purpose.
That could have been so good.
That could have been so interesting.
We could have had it all. Instead, we got that.
Instead, we're rolling in deep mud.
Yes. It is,
not really. There's some redeeming qualities.
There are some very good, like the political intrigue of it's very good, which I didn't really fully grasp until I think we started talking about it, and then I listened to Iron Flame again after it, which I'm still very curious about Andarna, and the primary redeeming quality of this book is Andarna and Taryn. Number one.
Okay,
I think I sent you, no, like they are the number one redeeming quality of it. I sent you a meme where it was like Andarna and Taryn is the old guy from Up.
Yes. Yeah, the old Taryn is the old guy from Up, where Andarna is the dog.
Yeah,
that's accurate. I also would say that
So what's your hottest of hot takes now that I have monologued on why I hate it?
Okay, so my hot take on what is my Fourth Wing hot take? I think that there is so much that could have been that isn't.
Okay.
Like like you said, there's some cop-outs with Fourth Wing where like things are said or things are done and they're just for like sparkly effects rather than any substance. Like this is not really a hot take, it's more of a peeve.
Okay.
We'll say you have a pantheon and you're not using it, bitch. Use it.
There you go. That is a hot take, because nobody remembers about the pantheon.
There's a whole pantheon of gods that have been established that are not being used, but they should be.
And one comes into the forefront pretty strongly in one of the books. I don't remember which one it is now, but like one of the gods actually interferes, but it's just kind of...
Does they? Do they? And what? Please explain.
Spoilers again, 30 seconds or so. When she sees and interacts with Liam's spirit.
Oh, that's right, Malik.
Yes.
You're talking about Malik, yes. Yeah. I literally started writing a fan fiction because I was upset about the pantheon not being used.
But it's only a side note. Like, if you didn't remember about the gods from the first book and their very brief mentioning in some kind of report or whatever that she was discussing, you wouldn't even remember why all of a sudden Malik is interfering, or who Malik is even.
Yeah, well, they use Malik a lot. So I don't mind that. So there are different types of pantheons that authors create for different purposes. Sometimes you create simple pantheons just for world building, sparkly effects, which is great. It's a great way of introducing like religion in a way into a book, and introducing a new dynamic rather than, oh, they believe in one god, there's no real religion even. Like, it just depends.
Yeah.
So like, they, like, every time someone dies, we commend your soul to Malik. Right, stuff like that. When they want luck, they pray to Zinal for the god of luck, right? The one that's, like, weird that I hope book 3, if they're gonna continue having these gods have purposes, which is great, like Dune, the goddess of war, right? She's brought up at some point, too.
I guess I don't remember that part.
I love pantheons.
Yes.
This is a me problem. But there's Amara, the goddess of, the queen of the gods, who, actually, if I remember correctly, in, like, book 1 or I think it's book 1, Violet says that she, that Rhiannon reminds her of Amara.
If she is, like, Amara's, I don't know.
Avatar would be the word.
Yeah, avatar, or if she's like a priestess kind of situation. That'd be so freaking cool.
It'd be so cool. It's not going to happen.
I know.
Unless, we are only in book 3 of
Apparently
5.
There's 5.
Which, how the fuck? I'm sorry, I can't believe 4. If this is going to turn into an issue like ACOTAR issue, boy oh boy, are we going to have a podcast. Yeah. But, unless the gods are used more openly and in more like they are a person, they are a character sort of way. In like book 3, it has to be in book 3. It's not gonna happen.
Like intervening more or interfering in their lives,
like directly. Yeah, because even like Taryn, who's old as shit, right, has said like your puny gods don't bother me or something like that. He mentions them directly, like they don't, like either they don't exist or they did exist and they were people in the past, kind of like how we believe our Greek gods are. He's not afraid of them. He's not afraid of them. Like, they have no impact on them, which to me screams they either aren't real, like in the sense of they're a collective identity that the society has agreed exists.
Except you have Malik, who has actually interfered.
Yeah, in some way, or she was just hallucinating it.
Because
in the book, there's this thing of, is it magic? Like, is Liam actually there, or is she so far down torture lane that she's true. That I think it's cooler and a fun little foreshadowing into book 3 where they actually bring the gods in for real, for Malik to be real and to be a character and to be a force even. Yeah. If book 3 follows through with having the pantheon, but if it's just world sparkling, pretty sparkles, then it's just she was hallucinating things.
Okay, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, she was real far down torture lane.
That is true. Yes,
but I don't like it when pantheons are misused and not functioning properly. Kind of sucks.
Yeah.
I think that's my hot take. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So there better be more gods. Or forget about the gods. Or explain why we don't have actual gods.
Yeah. Or keep going as is and keep it world building. Yeah. Which is fine. Like, if you want to focus on dragon lore and venom lore, then cool, that's fine. But then you have to actually introduce it and actually use it. Right. But to have no lore in this world that is set up to basically have lore and have mystery within the world, and that being literally the plot points of book 1 and book 2, both magic and lore essentially being key points of both of the books, if you don't start introducing more lore and more world building, the book series is going to fall to pieces.
Yeah.
It just is.
It needs more world.
Yeah. Or at least more depth to the world. It doesn't necessarily need more world. Honestly, if you expand too fast, too far, you're a pop like a balloon. But I think there needs to be more depth to the world. Like, well and truly.
I could see that. To make it feel fleshed out, if you will.
Yeah. Because if you're going to have 5 books, might as well make the world.
You better build that world, baby.
Like, if I'm not seeing some deep venom and dragon lore in book 3, I might DNF. And so I'm writing a review on the book.
If there's miscommunication, I'm not finishing. And if there's no extra world building, you're out.
Yeah. Though it's supposed to be, I think they're supposed to be going to the Isles in this book, which is where Xaden's mom's from.
Oh.
Xaden's mom's still alive.
Oh.
As far as we know, she's still alive. She got the heck out of Dodge after Xaden turned 10.
Well, bad for her.
Because she was in the marriage. Her marriage contract basically said, have a kid, and then once he turns 10, you can leave, and she did.
She said, deuces.
Yeah.
I forgot that.
Yeah. It's a kind of an interesting point that, again, should be foreshadowing. If it's not foreshadowing, I'm gonna DNF.
Yeah, why was it so important? What did she do?
Yeah.
Why did she leave? Yeah. Who is she?
Yeah, who is she, I think, is more of the big question. She's supposed to be, I guess, someone important in the Isles, I think is specific. I think that's where she's from. I could be wrong. Because, like, technically, from what I understand of the politics of it all, and we'll wrap up soon, but from the politics of it all, Orisha, where Xaden and his dad is all from, is technically like a dukedom.
Oh.
If we're talking like kingdom-wise, it's a region that used to be separate and then joined Navarre and then tried to leave again. It's a dukedom. It's its own thing.
Yeah.
So technically, and I believe they bring it up in Iron Flame with Cat and stuff.
Fuck her. I hate Cat.
Anyway.
Just the name, just.
But with Cat, like, that's the whole thing of, like, her, like, when Violet and her get in that fight, and Violet's like, you want the crown, not the man, essentially, she's not wrong. Like, if Orisha, if Tyrrendor, that's the name of the region. Yeah. If Tyrrendor would have separated, they would have been, like, his dad would have been a king.
Right.
Fen Ryerson would have been a king, and then him a duke, and then a prince to Xaden.
Yeah.
But under the current monarchy structure, technically, if they have a true monarch system, then Xaden's a duke by birth.
Right.
So there is this huge, like, political alliance that probably came from the Isles to...
That makes sense. Yeah, before the big rebellion happens.
Yeah. Probably in getting support for the rebellion to happen.
Well, especially if... Who knows the state of the Isles or wherever they're heading if, as per the end of Iron Flame, they have that whole situation going on and they're going to seek refuge in the Isles. So who knows what's going on in the Isles.
Yeah. So there's some interesting things that could be going on.
Yeah.
Politically. I think if I had to kind of say, like, hopes and dreams, non-hot take.
Yeah.
Onyx Storm has a lot of good foundation to be a really good political intrigue book with a romantic subplot that shows that both Violet and Xaden have grown past their issues of book 1 and 2.
I sure hope so.
Because I think it wouldn't be necessarily... I think you could even go into saying it's poor writing if the author doesn't do that. Because I think that would just be poor writing at a certain point.
You would have, like, lost the thread of the story.
Yeah. So that is also a hot take, I guess, is that depending on the outcome of this book, she might fall in the category of lazy writer.
Yep. We'll find out.
Yeah. In book 3, Onyx Storm, coming out January 21st.
January 21st.
Yeah. Which, keep an eye out on Arcane Book Nest, because I'm going to a midnight release of the book.
Yay!
And I'll be posting videos and photos of everything, because I'm cosplaying Violet.
That'll be so fun.
Yeah.
Keep us updated.
Yes, for sure.
All right. So now you know what's happening next.
Kind of. Well, our next podcast, which will be at the end of January. I believe it's January 28th is when that will come out.
Okay.
or 20-something, for sure. It's a date. I think I wrote the date down. Yes, I wrote the date down.
Yay.
Oh, 31st.
31st, the very end.
We'll have our 4th episode out, and that is going to be on Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie, last name I cannot pronounce.
Maniscalco.
Thank you. Carrie Maniscalco, King of the Wicked.
Which is where we should have started instead of starting with Throne of the Fallen.
She started with Throne of the Fallen.
I started with Throne of the Fallen.
I have not, so yes. I still have my brain cells left.
So we'll find out about the world of the Princes of Hell.
Yeah. I'm kind of excited for it.
Yeah. And I've already started it because it's going to take me an entire month. So
I'm going to end up binging it in the next 3 days, so.
And I'm already deciding that from this book and from this series and from Maniscalco's whole world, I need a cookbook.
Which means we might be having a new segment added on.
Cookbook!
Cookbook! So, this has been us.
Yes, this has been episode 3, the information on the Dark Hallows.
And other things.
Yes.
Huh?
It's not quite Alice.
But she's getting there.
Yep. Until next time.
Bye!